Welcome back to the Naughty Fisherman. Today's video is going to be more of a how to pick your reel. So I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I feel like it's one of the most overlooked things when you're first starting out because you're either buying a combo or you're going for the shiniest thing out there like I did. So we're going to go ahead and go over a few reels and the price points they are, especially if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend a ton of money. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and go over a few things before we get into actually showcasing the type of reels. First thing you want to consider when you're looking for your reels, as you guys can see I have 5 of them here, is what are you going to be using it for? So what I mean by that is, are you going to be doing ice fishing? If you are, God help you, I'm sorry. The other thing is you got to consider is, are you going to be doing active fishing? Are you going to be doing bait and weight? Just based on your style, you're going to want to change your reel. For bait and weight, you can kind of get away with going with a larger reel, since you're literally going to be casting it, putting it down and letting the fish do the work and the rod do the work for you. If you're doing what I'm starting to learn and what I've seen people do great success with, if you're doing jigging or drop shot, you want to ensure that you're going to be picking a reel that you're going to be comfortable with using all day long and being active in your hands, which means casting repeatedly, often, and able to maintain that for, I want to say like 8 hours a day if you're doing a long fishing session. So if you have a really heavy reel or a really large reel, that can actually hamper your fishing ability. Honestly, the second thing, in my opinion, one of the most important things to consider is what is your price range. So you're going to be going out there. There are probably hundreds of reels to choose from. I prefer the spinning class, as you guys can see in front of me. But you want to ensure that what you are using is something you can both afford and is going to last you a while. So if you're going out there and you haven't ever bought a reel before and you decide that you want to go high end, that's cool. Just make sure you're factoring that into your gear budget. If you're looking at start at the more budget end, there are several good choices for that, both for active fishing and just bait and weight. I actually have a few of them in front of me here. So like things like the Daiwa Regal and the Shimano FX are both extremely budget-friendly options. They're 1000 series, so they're kind of between the smallest reels you can find and the next class up. They are very common for their size range for the 1000 series. It's very common size to be used in trout fishing. All the way up to what you have on the far one, which is a Daiwa Legalis. That's getting into the pricier range. It's not the most expensive since it's still under 100, but it's getting there. But I'll go over these prices as we go, as I show them off. But really want to consider the last thing is, how are you going to fish? So are you left-handed? Are you right-handed? These can very much change up which reel you want to use, especially if they don't come ambidextrous. There are a ton of them that do. In fact, all the ones you see in front of you right now can have their handles switched at any given moment to accommodate either a left-hander or a right-handed fisherman. I have seen some in the past where they are fixed into the reel on a certain side. So if you don't fish, like, so let's say you're left-handed and you're finding a reel that's fixed to the right hand, you're going to have to change up your entire style to accommodate the reel, and that's going to make fishing a lot harder. Not impossible, but harder. So always make sure you're looking into them when you're picking your reel. Without further ado though, let's go ahead and get into pricing and styles. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you guys the extreme ends of the reels I have. Ironically, these are actually some of the cheapest reels I own. What you see before you is my 2 Cast King reels. They're actually pretty good for being a brand I hadn't heard about until, I think about, what was it, 2 years ago. The company actually makes pretty good reels. These are pretty sturdy. They also make them on the budget end. It's actually how they prefer to make them. So for me, just to give you guys an idea, these are both considered to be used for trout fishing, or just, in this one's case, trout/bass fishing, because it's a larger reel. The they are in the cheaper end. I believe the Centron 500 runs you about 25. This one will run you about 27. Like I said, not that expensive, especially for what you're getting. The Centron 500, which is this beautiful little thing right here, was actually an accidental buy by me. I thought it was something else. Turns out it wasn't. And the only reason I haven't gotten rid of it is because it still works really, really well. So it's actually pretty smooth. And if I can pull it up real quick here, turn it around, see if I can find it. There it is. Let me go ahead and get this up for you guys. Just kind of see if it'll go up for me here. Okay, so if you guys can see that number right, stop moving. See that number right there? It's a 9-to-1 ball bearing. So this one runs really, really smooth, which is surprising for the price point I got it at. It is a little on the heavier side. So this is, while being an ultralight reel, it is not going to be ideal, especially if you're going to be using it for jigging. If you like really light gear, this might not be the best option for you, just because I believe this is one of the heavier reels I own, despite being so small. So it's got some heft to it. I usually use it as a kind of a backup reel slash emergency reel in case one of my other ones breaks, like it did a couple years ago. Like I said, not bad value for the money. I would definitely recommend it if you want to get in at the very budget end. Being at $25, you really can't go wrong with it. It'll get you started. See if it's something you like, and if not, you can always move on to a different one. Moving on to that, the more other extreme I have this Casking Summer 2000, literally what it says there. They actually have pretty much a similar kind of gear scale. I believe this one's also 9.1 ball bearings. Yep. So the company, these are literally, if you look on Amazon where I found these, this one's 27, but these are literally the same company, and they are both interchangeable on their size. Like, I think this one can go all the way up to 5,000, as well as this one can go all the way down to 500 and 5,000 as well. So, like I said, the size isn't hugely different. The name is just really the only difference I've seen in these, and the color scheme. They can both handle fish really well. I actually have caught decent sized trout in this one. I've caught a few 1-pounders on this one, but this is going to be the more expensive of these two options. It's $27. Still not bad. It's a really good budget reel. It's also an ambidextrous one, so if you guys can see right here, you can unscrew this and switch this over. The other cool feature about this one I don't think has, being in the 500 model, is you can actually collapse the handle. So if I do that, you guys can see I can collapse that. So if you guys want to store it back in the box for long term, or just cut down the size if you're traveling, it can actually go down like that, and you just swing it back out, it locks right into place, and you're good to go. The other thing I like about these, they don't really move that much. When you're trying to swing back, they don't really move. So if you guys can see, when they go forward, it doesn't really have a lot of back give, which is kind of nice. But yeah, these are the actual two extremes for my scales. I have my smallest and my largest. The only other one that compares to the Summer 2000, the white one, is my Ugly Sticks GX 230, which I still have the reel. But yeah, these are definitely good options, especially if you're trying to get in on the budget end. Both have similar action, very similar price points. They're both, I want to say, under 30. And for being under $30, you'll get a lot of use out of them. They haven't broken on me yet, and I love them. All right, let's move on to the next group. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the 1000 series. Once again, I do have them listed from left to right, both in terms of heaviest to lightest and cheapest to most expensive. So if you'll notice correlation here, as I keep pointing out, the lighter you get, the more expensive you're going to get. So let's kind of go ahead and jump into these real quick. Start from the left. So this is a Shimano FX 1000. Ironically, I couldn't really tell you how much this one exactly costs. I got it as part of a ready to fish combo from Big Five, I want to say 6 or something years ago. I did look it up recently, and it looks like they were running between $19 and $23. This one doesn't really have a whole lot on it regarding how much it takes in. So it's gear, it's ratio, it's ball bearings. I looked it up. I think it's a 3-to-1 ball bearing ratio. So not huge. So it does make these lovely little sounds. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But it is also really clunky when it's going up and down. It does have some heft to it. Unfortunately, that does come with the lower price point. You're not going to get as light a reel. It's still durable. I've dropped the heck out of that thing for years, and it still works beautifully. It just, my wife uses it now. It's on her rod, but it's staying in the family for as long as I can keep it alive. Moving on to the next price point. This is kind of in the middle of my reels that I own. Just to give you guys an example, this one's a $60 reel, 9-to-1 ball bearing, 6.5 ounces on the weight. I think it's 6.5 ounces. I have to double check that. But this one is kind of still a budget option. It's a Daiwa Regal. Personally, I love them. They are a cheaper version of the Legalis. The Legalis I feel is a little bit lighter, but this Regal can handle just about anything. As you guys can see, I have braid on it. This was being used for a drop shot rod until I got something to replace it, which I have recently. But once again, for the pricing, it's not a bad reel, especially for doing both bait and weight and active fishing. So if you guys are looking for a budget reel to get started on your mini jigs, your drop shot, I would definitely give this one a try if you're willing. For the money, it's really good reel. It'll handle most of what you can throw at it, and it's affordable. It also has this lovely thing where you can do an interchangeable handle, which you can do in all of these. Personally, I love that, especially if you're not sure which way you want to fish yet. It gives you the option of changing it up as you go. If you're more comfortable being left-handed and you buy in the right-handed configuration, you can simply unscrew it, switch the handle, and you're good. So I would definitely recommend this if you're looking for a budget option to get started, especially with your active and your bait and weight. If you're looking to get a slightly lighter reel, one that can stand up a little bit more and it's whisper quiet, slightly lighter, I would recommend the Daiwa Legalis for your budget end. It is $70, so it's $10 more expensive than the Regal. Like I said, there is a slight price difference and slight quality difference. There's not a huge one. They're almost the same reel. This one just seems a little quieter and a little smoother to me. I definitely use this one a lot. Like right now, this is my drop shot reel. It has taken the place of the Regal. As you guys can see, I have braid on this. This is my main line that connects to a swivel that connects to my drop shot lines. So that's what I mainly use this one for. I also use it for spoons. I can throw this literally all day without getting all that tired. It is wonderful to work with. It is not my lightest reel or my most expensive reel, but it's the second most expensive and second lightest. I would definitely say if you want to make sure you have the best bang for your buck, I would go with the Legalis, because it can cover you in just about any situation you're going to run into, just in case you're wondering about that. We'll go over that a little bit more in the ending section, but based on that, I would definitely recommend this as a top contender if you're just getting started and you don't mind the budget. It's going to be a little pricier to get into, but it's worth it. Alright guys, so there you have it. Those are the 5 different reels I was going to showcase. My mini jig reel did not make it in here only because it's currently attached to the rod and I was feeling too lazy to take it off. I apologize. If you guys are interested in that one and hearing about it, drop a comment in this question in the comment section below. I will be more than happy to let you know which one I have, where to find it, and how it works. But I love it. It's the lightest one I have. It was definitely expensive though. Going from there, if you guys are getting started, especially in the budget range, just realize you don't have to buy the most well-known brands to get a decent reel. You don't have to buy the most expensive one to get a good reel. I may do with essentially a 2000 series and a 1000 series I bought off of a couple of rods for the first, I want to say 4 years of fishing, and then I finally started getting to the point where I started building my own setups, which was buy the reel, buy the rod, connect them, make sure they work together. Honestly, Shimano is definitely a good brand. Daiwa is a very strong contender as well. Ones I've been leaning more towards, though, are the Cast King. Yes, they're heavier, but if you're just starting out and you just want to get into bait and weight, you really can't beat them for the price point. Like I said, I think the 500's $25. It's an ultralight, pairs really well. It is small, so if you want to make sure you have plenty of line, I would say go for a 2000 series if you're really worried about the money. Only reason I'm recommending that one over the Shimano FX 1000 is because those are really hard to find right now. I was just looking at them just to see if I could figure out where they were. Almost every place I'm seeing them is showing them out of stock. So maybe you can find them on eBay, maybe on Amazon under a third-party seller. They are worth the $23 because they will not die. But if you're looking for something a little more up-to-date, a little smoother, a little quieter, I would go with the Cast King over the Shimano FX, because the FX has got a 3-bearing system. The Cast Kings have 9. So it's triple the ball bearings, smoother action. The weight's about the same. It's worth the more up-to-date ones. As far as your active fishing, if you want to get into mini jigs, you're probably going to be looking at doing $40 plus for your reel. There's really no way around that unless you want to battle fatigue all day long. The reason I say this is when you're constantly casting out, you have to take into account the weight of your reel and the weight of your rod. So if those combined are going to wear your arm out, you're only going to be good to do it for a couple hours, if that. So if you really want to get into like drop shot, mini jigs, jigging, or things like that, you are going to have to be looking at an investment into your gear that's going to match what you're going to be doing. You're definitely going to want lighter and tougher materials. You're also going to want slightly smaller so you can balance that rod and reel together, just to make sure you're doing it to the point where you're not getting tired halfway through the day and you have to call it quits. Nobody wants that. In that case, I would recommend, of the ones I showed you, the Daiwa Legalis. Honestly, it's slightly lighter. It does cost a little bit more, but that lightness in the body is going to help you in the long run. I've noticed a difference when I've used heavier reels to try and do any active fishing. I want to quit 30 minutes in, and I'm not exaggerating. So you definitely want to make sure you're matching your reel to how you're going to fish. So if you're going to be just bait and weight, you can go anywhere up from a 500 to a 2000. It's not going to bother you. You're literally casting out there and waiting for the fish to do the work for you. If you're going to be active, like walking the shore, casting constantly, put the money in, invest in the equipment. It will be worth it in the long run. A $70 reel now might sound expensive. Down the road, when you're constantly casting out, the lighter $70 reel is going to help you out more than the cheaper $25 reel that weighs almost twice as much. So you got to balance what you're doing. Beyond that, though, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'd love to answer them. Love to help you guys out. If you guys have any suggestions for me, especially on new brands or anything coming out, please let me know. I'm always on the lookout to see what's out there. Beyond that, tight knots and tight lines, guys. Till next time.